Google image search today. We are going to look at the image results for Google because I never look this stuff up. I'm so behind on the trends. We're going to remedy that. So I just typed it in, went to images. We're going to look at the top results. First result is a blog, a psychiatric phenomenon that can interfere with your ability to carry out daily tasks. Vivid, detailed daydreams, check. Rich imaginative plot, usually. Occurs in people who have suffered from severe trauma. It does in about 25%. The other 75%, not so much. So that's a thing. That's a thing with all this maladaptive daydreaming content. Is that it always puts the trauma front and center. And I get why, but it definitely leads people to believe that maladaptive daydreaming can only develop via trauma. And that's just not the case. And here we see it again. And it has a bunch of kids at a desk with these little imagination bubbles of them doing fun things. I guess there's much to say about that, except that it always is kids. A lot of descriptions of maladaptive daydreaming seem to really rely on this image of the student staring wistfully out the window while their teacher talks about something boring. And it's really, yeah, that happens, but it just really doubles down on the image of maladaptive daydreamers as just young, distractible people who need to grow out of it, you know? What are you gonna do? Next, we have an infographic from another blog, and it is daydreaming versus maladaptive daydreaming. In the daydreaming category, we have mind wandering, taking a break from real life, helps achieving goals. Daydreaming is pleasant, but real life is better, and doesn't last long. Mind wandering. Now, this is not OP's fault, but all of these terms are nebulous. Daydreaming itself is very nebulous. Some people would say that mind wandering is different. Some people would say it is daydreaming. And then you add fantasy into the mix, fantasizing, and then that's the third category that is sometimes something different and sometimes replaceable with the word daydreaming or even mind wandering. And they're all some form of off-task thought. So yeah, for a normal daydreamer, daydreaming can be mind wandering. I would argue that it can also be mind wandering for a maladaptive daydreamer, or it could be neither for both of them. Like you gotta pin those definitions down. People don't really think about them. They don't really think about them. Like what does daydreaming mean? Like define it and define it in a way that makes it different and separate from fantasizing and mind wandering and off-task thought. Because we all kind of intrinsically know what daydreaming is, but when you really try to get it to its core elements, especially when juxtaposed with these other constructs, we can start to see that not everybody considers it in the same way. Taking a break from real life, yeah, sure. Helps achieving goals. I would say that is not intrinsic to daydreaming. Can be detrimental. Even for non-maladaptive daydreamers, and it can just be nothing. It can do nothing. It might not hurt you, but it also isn't necessarily something that helps you further your goals. So yeah, daydreaming is pleasant, but real life is better. I don't know. It doesn't last long. Yeah, non-immersive daydreamers do tend to come out of it a lot quicker. And then on the daydreaming side, we have immersion into an alternate reality. Okay, but sure, yeah. Escaping an unpleasant reality, often, not always, gets in the way of studies and or work, or social interactions. It hits everybody different. You might be fine at work and just not good at the social aspect. So I think that should be studies / work / social responsibilities or obligations or interactions or what have you. So 2/3 of the way there. Daydreaming is the only source of happiness. I wouldn't have put that. And can last for hours on end. Indeed, it can, but not for everybody. Obviously, these quick bullet points, they're only going to hit like the big common things. But if you can be the type of maladaptive daydreamer where it doesn't last for hours, it comes in 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes all throughout the day, and you're not sitting down dedicating a block of 6 hours, but it can add up to be quite a big amount of time. So okay, yeah. The next one's a Tumblr post. Maladaptive daydreaming things. Constantly muttering things under your breath. Pulling weird facial expressions while daydreaming. Pacing in bold. That is very common. When you can't sleep because your daydreaming is so good. Being genuinely upset, happy, angry about things that happen in your daydreams. And hello, are you spacing out? These are all, I think, very specific to this user. And I think that they were posted meant to be specific to this user. Because there are maladaptive daydreamers out there who might not relate to any of these. But there are a lot who will relate to most or all of them. The thing about this one is down, if you look in the tags, don't reblog unless you experience, and I assume the rest says maladaptive daydreaming. And I've seen this a lot, especially on Tumblr, and I don't really get it. I guess because it's so personal to people that they're worried about their posts being shared. Like that's got to be the reason. But they are putting it on a public blog, so if that is the reason, it seems futile. I don't know. Do you know why people do that? If you know why people do that, or if you have an idea why people do that, like put it in the comments or something, because I'm interested to know, because I see it in the tags, in the text, in people have these images, these little banners that they put on their posts that say like do not reblog or do not interact unless you are X thing, in our case maladaptive daydreamers. I don't know, I guess it's a personal choice. That's their thing. For future reference, you can share anything you want of mine. I don't care. Share it with everybody. The more people who see this stuff, the better. Interact with me. If you're not a maladaptive daydreamer, I don't know why you bother watching my videos, but thank you. Interact and go do something. Go write to me somewhere. It's fine. I promise. I'll be very happy if you reblog me. Another infograph, and this one's actually it's from the same user as the other one. I should look this guy up too. So I was sitting here staring at this infograph like I should look this person up, and I'm looking at their username, going, the hell Poogie, the hell, how do you pronounce that? It took me like a solid 60 seconds to work out that their username is the help you give. Batting 1,000 today. Anyway, they have visualized the vicious cycle. Escaping your painful reality, making up a pleasant and ideal alternate reality, daydreaming for hours every day, withdrawing socially, falling behind on work or school, and then moving into real life becomes even more unpleasant, back to escaping your painful reality. And yeah, this is a legit cycle that people get caught in. It's laid out kind of similar to this in one of the papers. Let me see if I can find an image of that. I'm going to find an image of that and stick it in. It's not exactly like this, but I'm assuming they took inspiration from that paper to make this. Oh, I don't have to find one. The next image was the one from the paper. See, it starts with the innate capacity, then discovery, rewarding experience, yearning, maladaptive daydreaming, social isolation, trauma, and neglect. And then there's another one down the bottom that goes shame, concealment, unsuccessful treatment attempts, back up to maladaptive daydreaming. So it's similar, but it has more mechanisms in it, and the verbiage they use is different, but essentially trying to describe the same thing. I think anyway. I assume that the person who made that infograph was trying to sort of recreate this in a more understandable format. I really thought a bunch of memes were going to come up. Another text post. The most terrifying thing about maladaptive daydreaming, in my opinion, is that it's a disorder that makes you love it. Agreed? Like it whispers in your ear and covers your eyes and strokes your face while it pulls your hair. Maladaptive daydreaming holds you by the throat and tells you to think of it as a hug. Can't feel time slip away. Minutes and hours adding up to years. You can't see how your own eyes glass over. It makes you a ghost of a person, a hollow shell, and the thing that's supposed to be inside is literally worlds away. But all you feel is the rush. It wrecks you from the inside out. But even as it hurts you, it tells you, I'm the only one who understands. Stay with me. Be mine. You're mine. It's a disorder that completely enslaves you, and that is so scary. And the second scariest thing? How it disguises itself. Shh, It's okay. It's not a big deal. Everyone daydreams. You have a vivid imagination. You're lucky. You're special. Be glad. Maladaptive daydreaming is a poison. Testify. I don't disagree. There you go. This is the next one's just an image post of a video. We're not going to bother with that. Another text post. So it looks like they screenshotted an article and they underlined the part of it that says about 80% of participants were women. And they said this could be because women tend to be more affected by maladaptive daydreaming than men. I made a video about this. It's down there somewhere. It's titled something like Where Are All the Guys or Where Are All the Men? I can't remember. And it's true. It's not true. Hold on, let me get my thoughts together. Women are overrepresented in the maladaptive daydreaming studies and community too. And like the article said, that could be because women are more affected by it, but it's really probably not that. There are a lot of other social aspects to why women are overrepresented. And it's not just a maladaptive daydreaming thing. A lot of things, a lot of mental health conditions have a gender bias. And sometimes it's women and sometimes it's men. And there hasn't been an official explanation for why this is happening. But I think the general wisdom on the topic is not necessarily that it affects women more, but that women are more likely to discuss it and look it up and find it and seek help or treatment for it. And it's rooted in society, like how we treat our girls versus our boys. So yeah, I guess they technically didn't say anything wrong. I mean, it could be, but it's probably not. And I think they gave the wrong impression there, in my opinion. Another text post. This is an image search. This is an image search, you guys. They're all text posts. Does anyone else have this other self they've created in their mind that is not exactly like you IRL, but is more like what you want to be and has a life that continues in your head with like weird continuing daydreams, but they're not perfect or anything? And wow, I forget where I was going with this. Someone replies, FYI, this is called maladaptive daydreaming, and it's a symptom of multiple mental disorders. Wait, what? This is a famous one. This is a viral one. This is one of the early viral ones, too. I remember this. People were mad at this one. Not really sure why. I think it's because they said, the person responding to them said it's a symptom of multiple mental disorders. Because that's not entirely accurate. I don't think there's anything too wrong with this post, though. I mean, it's a one-sentence reply to something that does kind of sound like maladaptive daydreaming. I don't think it's out of place as a casual reply to somebody, but and I don't expect clinical accuracy in posts like this, so it doesn't personally bother me. I know it probably seems like I do because this is what I do. Like when I react to stuff, I try to expand on it a little bit more and try to educate, I guess. Give the information that's missing or in some way. But that's just my shtick as a YouTube creator. That's just what I do. What I want to be informative. That's the tone of my entire channel. So when I'm looking at these, I'm trying to be informative. But just in my general day-to-day life, I don't. As long as it's not harmful, it's not a big deal. But yeah, this one was controversial. It was pretty controversial at the time. In the same breath, there are a lot of maladaptive daydreamers who found the term through this post. It brought so many people to us. It really did. A lot of these weird viral things do. Like, yeah, you get the rabble saying stupid shit all the time in the comments sections or whatever. That's just the denizens of the internet. Like they post, they move on. They post, they move on. And then there's always some jerk who's like, it's nothing. And then there's all the people it helps. So next one's just a book cover. Skip. Another text post. Oh, it's the same text post, actually. It's the same one we just talked about. Boop. Oh, so this is a picture of Cordelia. Now, I have mentioned Cordelia in in a couple of videos. But little MD history lesson here. Back when maladaptive daydreaming was brand new, like 2008, 2009. But everybody thinks of it as starting in 2002, but that's not where it started. It started in like 2011 because of Jane Rachel. I have a video. It's called A Brief History of Maladaptive Daydreaming. If you want to know more about those years, go watch that. And Cordelia was a big part of this genesis. She was a research participant, and she was the first research participant. She was not the first maladaptive daydreamer who was studied, but she was the first one who allowed her name and identity to be associated with maladaptive daydreaming as a maladaptive daydreamer. She's like the first public maladaptive daydreamer. And she went on this little awareness campaign. They have cut it off in this photo, but the bottom of that sign says, "Please listen and learn." You think we get shit today? Like, back then it was unheard of. We didn't have anyone on our side. There were like 3 researchers who even looked at this, and that's it. She started the Wild Minds Network, which she's no longer involved with. That's now run by Valeria Franco, who runs the Italian community. She's really cool. And Cordelia has since taken a big step back from the community, like years ago. This wasn't recent. She's been out the game for a while. But yeah, she still comes up on an image search. Now in 2021, we're used to photographs and video chats, and maladaptive daydreaming has been in the news and the media. Some articles have been published, but what you're looking at right here is actually one of the first images of an actual maladaptive daydreamer, an actual person who says they have this. That's where we started. Another text post. Maladaptive daydreaming is a little-known psychological condition in which one daydreams excessively to the point where such an activity can become harmful. Perfectly adequate text post. Oh, finally. A maladaptive daydreaming starting pack. This is the content we came for. Maladaptive daydreaming starter pack. Don't forget pacing. Did I say pacing yet? Pacing. More pacing. Talking to yourself. Pacing. I'll have you know that there are quite a few non-pacers out there. About 20% of us don't have a repetitive movement associated with it. Of the repetitive movement people, pacing is the most common, but there are other ones. I'm going to guess that this person might be a pacer. Another text post. Surprise. I see a bunch of people discussing maladaptive daydreaming, and it's great, but I've seen no one mention the common violent nature of the daydreams. Many posts I see highlight the idolized life daydreams that I guess some people have. But it's like everyone is afraid to talk about the violence that is entirely normal for a maladaptive daydreamer to think about. That factor is one of the reasons it's so hard for me to talk about it to my friends and family. If people were more willing to talk about this aspect of maladaptive daydreaming, I don't know, maybe people like me who have violent daydreams wouldn't feel as isolated and bad. I'm definitely mutuals with this person. And I agree with them. I agree. Mine always been very violent. Day one, very violent. Thought there was something wrong with me for a while, not just because the daydreams were so violent, but because they didn't bother me. It's like, shouldn't I be upset? What kind of a person would think this? And I have a video about this too. It's called Violence and Maladaptive Daydreaming. It's somewhere in my history. You can look that one up. Violence is really common though. Yeah, don't feel like a freak. And we don't talk about it that often, but it's pretty prevalent, pretty common. You are definitely not alone in that. More stock photos attached to articles. YouTube thumbnail. Deviant art. What are you? Unless I am mistaken, this is original art from a maladaptive daydreamer. Looks like the subject has thrown themselves on the bed, surrounded by the artifacts of their daily life. And looks like they're just spacing out. It's actually really cool. I like this. Yellow is my favorite color. The description says, TikTok just told me that I suffer from maladaptive daydreaming disorder. The what? Let's see what else this artist has. Do you have more maladaptive daydreaming stuff? Suichi Ki 8. In my illustrations, objects and people of different styles converge within existential levels and meet in scenes that belong to a place outside the conception of the average time of dreams. The inner world from where these ideas are born comes from a vast cultural memory that I have formed with myself through my experiences, tastes, and knowledge. Oh, this is great. This is great. They look like a professional artist who may or may not have maladaptive daydreaming. Oh, this looks complicated. This looks complicated. What is this? And then we have another figure from another paper, which is visualizing some mechanisms of maladaptive daydreaming, the scale specifically. And I don't know, we've been here for a while, so I think I'm just going to leave it at that. I keep trying to do these fun videos, and then nothing goes as I expected. Although I think this one was unexpected in a positive way. When I Google image searched maladaptive daydreaming, I expected a lot of memes, or like a lot of silliness of silly, like the daydream bubble images, which we did get a few of, but most of what we got was informative. Information is coming up in the top image searches. I don't think all of it is the most amazing information in the world. There's room for improvement, but these are not bad things. These are good images from actual studies, images based on actual studies, and then a lot of text posts that are maybe not as informative, but are experiential. They're sharing true and real experiences that other maladaptive daydreamers can see and relate to, and you find community through. I think this was successful. It was successful. It was not as boisterous and colorful as I expected, but good. It was what we like to see. Okay, keep up the good work, people. Keep up the good work. I'll see you in the next video.